I should say all the pressure's off. You gave the most basic bitch answer possible for your first movie. So don't even worry about the next three. All the pressure's off, Nick.
Okay. I hate you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, hey everybody. Bobby here, and I'm here with Nick. And we're here to do a little something different today. We're here to talk about the movies that define us, the movies that we think say kind of who we are as a movie watching person. I'm trying to make it as pressure filled as possible for Nick, because Nick has been freaking out about this. So I want to make it. These are the
this
four
is as
movies.
close to an interrogation as I've ever, I think, been involved in my life.
We just want to let you guys get to know us a little bit and about our interests and our tastes. And we're going to do a little video about kind of our
and our credibility, which I will have none of by the time we're done here.
It's not really about credibility. That's something Nick's bringing to it. It's
Everything's about credibility. It's always about credibility.
It's just about interest, okay? And kind of in the style of Letterboxd, where they kind of corner celebrities on the red carpet and go, give me your 4 favorite movies. And all celebrities always freak out and are like, oh, I don't know what to say. That's where we are right now, but I've given Nick like a month to prep it.
and I have spent a month.
Yeah, and before we started recording, Nick said, can we do this next week? Because maybe with a little more time, my list will be perfect. Nick, give me your first movie.
Okay, I'm going to start with my all-time favorite movie. It's a very obvious choice, but it's a film that I love. It's a film that's been part of my life for a very long time, and that is Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather. To me, The Godfather is the great American movie. It's just this incredibly ambitious, epic, it's like, to me, it's like as far as Hollywood could go doing the Hollywood thing, right? It's a studio movie. It looks great. It's brilliantly acted. It has this incredible cast, but it's also it's like as close to like Shakespeare or Greek tragedy as I think Hollywood has ever gotten. Also, for sentimental reasons, I am Italian American. It's kind of a rite of passage for us. It's a thing that we see very early in life.
Okay, all right. I think that's enough description. All right.
What do you mean?
I don't need to go into the.
I will say the love theme from The Godfather was my parents' wedding song.
Okay, all right.
But I do. It's a film that every time I see it, I notice things about it, and there's so many moments in it that are just these iconic film moments. The horse head in the bed, the baptism scene, stuff like that. But there's also these little moments, these subtle, stuff between Pacino and Brando, and these little things that just kind of last forever. Roger Ebert loves the character of Mama Corleone, who's, I don't think she even has any speaking lines in the movie, and yet she's like, it feels like she's a family member. It feels like she's someone that you actually know. So I think it's just this incredible achievement. Like, it's a very mainstream movie that does a lot of things just so well, and like, to me, it's the pinnacle of what a big budget, hit movie can be, like, at its absolute best. It's one that is worth talking about in the artsiest terms, but also that, your stupidest friend has seen and liked that movie too. And I like the sort of universality of it.
Okay, so I should say all the pressure's off. You gave the most basic bitch answer possible for your first movie. So don't even worry about the next three. All the pressure's off, Nick.
Okay. I hate you. This is going to be, we've recorded a lot of episodes of the show already, and I feel like this is the dissolution of the entire thing. And you know what? I'm fine with it.
All right, give me your number 2.
Number 2 is Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia, which is a similarly 3-hour epic movie as The Godfather. I just found that movie like, and again, this is 18-year-old me.
Well, let me ask, before you break into it, you said The Godfather is your all-time favorite movie,
It
right?
is
this your second favorite movie? Are you doing like your top 4, or is this
the top 3? 1, 2, and 3 will be my top 3 favorite
Okay,
movies.
all right. I just want to know, because I want to.
Yep.
Yes, okay. That's the important place for you. It's your number 2 movie of all time, which is why it's appearing on this video. Okay, go ahead.
When I first saw Magnolia, it was like the audaciousness of this movie. It's a 3-hour epic. It's a multi-character thing. Long before Crash did it, I think when people saw Crash in what was it, 2006, they're like, oh, I've never seen a movie. Like, Shortcuts did it before this did. So
right.
It's not so much that.
It's very Altman-coded in general.
It's very, and I like Altman a lot too. We'll get to Altman in just a second.
Okay.
But Magnolia is a movie, like, Paul Thomas Anderson speaks the language in a way that I just love. He was like 29 when he made this, and just the guts that he had to work with like Jason Robards and, you know, Tom Cruise and like the Julianne Moore, like these great actors in this sort of multifaceted, multi-character story where, you know, he's just willing to do things like there's, you've seen it, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely.
The moment where all the characters are singing along to the Amy Mann song. You know, I'd never seen anything like that before, and I just love that he was able to weave in. Again, it's a movie that has a lot of famous people in it, a lot of very pretty, you know, Hollywood sort of people. It's the movie where Tom Cruise kind of emotes in a way we've never seen him do before. I love the audaciousness and the audacity of it, and also it's a very, I think, affecting movie. Like, it's beautifully made, it's beautifully directed, beautifully shot. William H. Macy and so many great actors in it doing like some of their finest work, and I just like that to me was, you know, it kind of maybe the culmination of that indie film thing that I grew up with that I love so much. And it's like, all right, this is the one, right? Like, this is one of those filmmakers gone Hollywood, given a huge budget, and able to just do this on like a grand scale. So I could talk about it all day, but I know you don't want me to, so I won't.
Not on this video, but that was a great reasoning for why you love Magnolia. What's your number 3?
Number 3, absolutely my third favorite movie of all time, is Raising Arizona, the Coen brothers' Raising Arizona. I love two things about it. Like, this movie, to me, it's always the first screening. I teach like a film intro to film study, basically, course. It's called Film Study and Appreciation, and I switch up the syllabus a lot. You know, the other movies are kind of in flux, but Raising Arizona is always the first screening because it's a very fun, very silly, very cartoonish movie. It's short. It's like 94 minutes or something like that, but like every shot, every visual, every acting beat, every camera angle is so precise and so calculated to either get a joke across or reveal something about a character. Like, it's this very densely packed movie that's also just a ton of fun to watch. It's very silly. The humor, to me, it's like this combination of like bumpkin sort of humor with this like real sort of verbal and visual wit. I love wordplay. There's so many lines in this movie that I think are so funny. And then it also has this emotional core that gets me every time. And the older I get, and now being a family man, I guess, myself, this movie makes me cry. It's one of 2 or 3 movies that, as goofy and silly as it is all the way through, there's a closing scene in this movie that just gets me like no other movie gets me, in terms of, you know, what it's trying to say about what is important in life and what you should aspire to and things like that. So on top of being this, and it's also very dark in a lot of ways, which is, I think, also makes it a lot of fun and makes those emotional moments kind of hit harder in some sense, because it is in some ways a very cynical and sarcastic movie, but also it's got this big, beautiful beating heart about it that I just, and again, the thought that they made this was their second movie after making already one kind of perfect movie in Blood Simple. Pretty incredible.
Absolutely incredible. So those are your top 3 movies of all time.
All right. And I'm going to totally cop out on the 4th. Can I do that?
What do you mean by if you?
I'm doing it.
The only way you no. I'm gonna give before you even say anything.
Okay.
It can't be more than one movie.
Oh, sure it can. I'm doing it anyway.
No, it can't be more than one movie.
You forced me to do this right now. I'm going to do it.
It can't be more than one movie.
All right, then I'm going to say Altman's The Long Goodbye.
Okay.
I was going to say The Long Goodbye / Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
No, that's not fair. That's absolutely not fair. I would have at least heard the argument if you were like, well, the Lord of the Rings trilogy or whatever, but I'm not sitting here for 2 movies by 2 different filmmakers. Not gonna happen. One
kind of the spiritual antecedent of it. Okay, fine, whatever.
No.
Long Goodbye is just a movie that I love film noir. It combines 2 of my sort of pet things that I love in films. One of them is the noir genre. I've written more pages than I care to talk about the Private Eye character and how that character, who I've always kind of had a fascination with, has kind of evolved over the history of cinema. And The Long Goodbye is kind of a piss take on that. It's a movie about the private. It's Elliot Gould as Philip Marlowe. It's an adaptation of a Raymond Chandler novel that just kind of takes the source material and throws it out the window and kind of interrogates who that character is and how Hollywood has portrayed portrayed him kind of throughout his history. So it's a movie it's like such a niche movie for a niche audience. Like, unless you are as fascinated by and as well versed in this character as I am, it's probably not going to be a very entertaining movie for you. But for me, it's like, you know, with all of that background, it just kind of adds up to this movie that's very sort of smart. And people didn't like it when it came out because it was, you know, a little bit insulting to that character. But I love, again, wordplay and wit, and just the way that Elliot Gould plays this character in this movie is so fun and so funny to me. The dialogue is just hilarious. Co-written by Lee Brackett, who co-wrote The Big Sleep. So, you know, it actually has some of that original talent from that period in Hollywood and that genre. And it just makes me laugh, and I love it. Another movie that is mostly silly and goofy and lighthearted all the way through, and then has some moments that are not exactly the kind that would make you cry, but it has like a very kind of heavy and deep and emotional sort of ending that it sets up but doesn't telegraph along the way. And it has this wonderful closing shot that's a reference to another movie that I love, which is The Third Man. And it's, you know, kind of a forgotten movie. Like it's one of those, it's not one of those when people talk about the 70s, there's so many, like The Godfather, other great movies to talk about in that new Hollywood period. But this one, and very much so Shane Black's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang as well, I'm going to mention it again. These feel like movies that were made for me, right? Like, there may have been a target audience of one for both of them, and I was that target audience. So, you know, you're talking about like movies that define us or movies that made us. I remember seeing that the first time. I was like, oh, like someone knew I was going to see this and knew I was going to like it. And I don't think of myself in those kind of haughty terms normally, but I don't know. Certain films, I just sort of see them and it's like, this is exactly what Nick Rocco Scalia wants out of a movie. I feel the same way about True Detective Season 1 on television. You know, every once in a while a piece of media comes out and it's like, you know, I was the person for this. It's like your soulmate or something. So there you go. I did
Absolutely.
it. I'm done. I'm out.
Well, Nick, I know that was very painful for you. Thank you so much.
It was.
And
you know what? Painful for everyone who's watching. So perfect.
I mean, it's a shared experience, just like the movies. It's a shared experience. You really wanted to get that vibe across, and you achieved it. So thank you very much, Nick.
No, thank you.
Watch my one of these too if you want to see what my feelings are on those two. We'll see you guys next time. Later.